What's going on? Welcome back, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Schneid. We're gonna draft, but first we're gonna chat about some stuff. We got King of Kings in the chat. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. We got the Candyman, Fantasy Football Garage. What's happening? Thanks for coming in, guys. We're gonna chat about a couple things quickly before we get into some draft action. So let's get right into that. The first things first. What I want to talk about the most. It seemed obviously it's every year it's the same sort of conversation that comes up. Quarterbacks moving. It's the most important position in football, of course, right? So that's what I want to dig into right now. A few things here. So the Matt Stafford stuff. And I just feel like a lot of this stuff doesn't get talked about, especially in these draft type shows and in streaming type shows. It doesn't get talked about a lot. So let's talk about the Matt Stafford stuff. That's an interesting one. Like, yeah, they gave his agent permission to speak to other teams. So what does that mean? Do you really honestly think that, let's say it's the Giants. Do you really honestly think that the Giants are going to name the price for the Rams? Do you really think the Steelers are going to offer Matt Stafford X amount of dollars for him to take it to the Rams to see if they want to match it, whatever, right? So, I mean, a lot of this stuff should get realistically overlooked and not really blown out of proportion like it does, because it really doesn't make sense. No NFL team, no GM, no franchise is going to say, oh yeah, Matt Stafford, yeah, we're going to work out a deal for you and we're going to pay you, $50 million a year, whatever. Here's your contract. This is what it's going to be. Now we just got to work out a deal. What are we going to trade the Rams for you? Yeah, that's the easy part. We'll get that figured out, right? Like, it's not going to happen. So I just really don't, I don't know. I really don't believe that any other team in the NFL is more or less discussing contract terms as far as numbers with Stafford. If anything, yeah, they're probably like, hey, how many more years do you have in you? You got 2 years left. We'll do a 2-year deal. Maybe we'll do a 3-year deal, kick it down the road, void years, whatever, right? Those are the types of conversations. I really, really do not believe that they're out there naming the price for Matt Stafford. I just really find that exceptionally hard to believe. So I think, yeah, they're trying to shop around. They would love it, especially his agent, and Matt Stafford would absolutely love if teams would give him a number. Then they can take that back to the Rams and say, hey, this is what we're getting. This is what we're hearing. This is what it'll cost in a trade, blah, blah, blah. But I just don't expect anything to get done. I think they figure out a deal. Matt Stafford is going to be a Ram. I just we've seen it already in the history of the recent history of the Rams with Matt Stafford under center. Kroenke is willing to spend the money. He's willing to cut a check. And that's something that always gets kind of overlooked and not really talked about. That's another thing, is all it takes for any of these teams. That's why, like, Patrick Mahomes signed a 10-year deal. Who cares? Joe Burrow, oh, I'm willing to take less money, blah, blah, blah. No, you're not, man. You're just willing to get a check cut in your name. That's all it ever takes. No one ever talks about this. All it ever takes in the NFL is an owner who's willing to take his pen and write a check and sign it for $30 million, $40 million, cash money. That's all it takes. And Kroenke has shown that he's willing to do that, except for, the Browns. Obviously, they've already paid that money. The Saints, they're typically kicking the can down the road, right? But Kroenke's already shown that he'll do that if it means the potential to win a Super Bowl, which I think we would all agree. Putt Daddy, what's up? I think we would all agree that, the Rams are still in that window where, as long as Matt Stafford's under center and Puka Nacua, that young defense, and they have another good draft, then they're still very, very much in the Super Bowl conversation, especially considering how weak the NFC is and has been. And it will not change this year, right? Look at the rookie quarterbacks. Look at the free agent quarterbacks. Is the NFC going to be able to change this year? The answer is no. So, yeah, that's one off the list. Let's zoom in a little bit on this. Matt Stafford, right? He's going to be a Ram. I would be blown away shocked if Matthew Stafford is not an LA Ram come the start of the season. So that's one off the list. The other thing that doesn't get talked about a lot is, look at the top of the draft, right? Titans, Browns, Giants. We've got the Raiders there, right? Jets are there, all quarterback needy teams, right? Again, I think we can all agree that there's definitely, most certainly not 3 rookie quarterbacks coming in that you would even think about starting a football game, right? So, you can call it Cam Ward, you can call it Shedeur Sanders. Cool. I've said time and time again, if you watch this show, I don't think any of these guys are ready to start in the NFL this year. None of them. Not Cam Ward, not Shedeur Sanders, no one. So I'm not drafting my franchise quarterback, this year. Maybe down the line, he's not going to walk in the door. What I'm saying is he's not going to walk in the door day one and start, and you're going to go to the playoffs like, Jaden Daniels, and even Caleb Williams is a lot more successful than people like to give him credit for. But regardless, so the other part about that conversation with the rookies, or even the free agents we could talk about, you can throw them all the quarterbacks into a bucket when we're talking about this. The Browns, the Giants, right? Those are 2 teams that obviously are the most needy, but those are the 2 teams that are, or even the Titans. You can even throw the Titans in this conversation. Those are the teams where their coaches are on the hottest of seats, right? You could say Stefanski with the Browns, not really, and you'd be right. I don't think he deserves to get fired. He's been given a raw deal with this Deshaun Watson, but if he has 2 more consecutive seasons in a row after this of losing seasons, do you think he's still going to be the coach of the Browns? Because that's what he'd be looking at, right? If he drafts a quarterback 2nd overall, and in 2 years, they're not looking better and they're still a losing team and that quarterback doesn't work out, what's going to happen? GM's fired. Andrew Berry ain't going to be there anymore. GM's fired. Stefanski's fired, right? Look at the Titans. Obviously didn't progress. That's a big reason why they hired Brian Callahan, hopefully to bring along Will Levis, right? That didn't happen. So you really think that he's going to draft, Cam Ward 1st overall and in 2 years get fired? The GM that came in as a rookie, he's probably okay considering where he came from, but you think Callahan's going to sign off on that? Same thing with the Giants. That's the hottest seat. Brian Daboll, right? My point is, the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, the general manager of these 3 franchises, and the head coach of these 3 franchises is hinging their immediate future on this decision. So, in your opinion, put it in the chat. In your opinion, is there anyone, a free agent or a rookie, that you would be willing to hinge your career on right now? If there is, name them in the chat. But for me, none of these guys. I wouldn't hinge my career on any of these guys. So, especially, and another thing, looking at, I popped up the PFF mock draft tool, which I like and I like to use. It's got their rankings, right? Everything's in there. If you're looking at the quarterbacks, Cam Ward ranked 20th, not 1st, not 2nd, not 5th, not 10th. 20th, right? Shedeur Sanders, well outside the 1st round, which I can get on board with. But, they always get pushed up. We know that. I think they'll get Kenny Pickett was probably right around, I don't know what he was at, maybe like 10, 15, something like that, ended up getting drafted 1st. But I don't think that any of these guys are ready to step into an NFL game right now and make that turn a franchise around. I just do not believe it. So I don't know what happens here. This isn't this is the answer. This is what's going to happen. But I think Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter are the picks 1 and 2. And then we'll kind of see from there. But I think if I'm the Giants, I'm looking at Mason Graham, potentially Will Campbell, even, where is he? Malachi Starks, maybe. Will Johnson, potentially, whatever. There's other players, there's other positions of need that I'd be looking at if it were me. If someone wants to trade up, Or yeah, I'd be looking to trade down. That's for sure. I would absolutely want to trade down if I'm any of these teams. Actually, that's not true. If I'm the Titans, I just draft Abdul Carter. Boom, done. Make it easy. If I'm the Browns, I go ahead and draft Travis Hunter. Easy peasy. But from there on out, if the Patriots can't get Will Campbell, do they want to trade down? I sure as hell would. Right. The Jags, that's another thing. Just a little quick nugget, little off topic, I suppose. But if I'm the Jags, Ashton Genty could be on the table for them. What does that do to his ADP and his value? I don't know. That's another story for another day. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to get at a little bit. So then you're looking at the Raiders and the Jets. Honestly, if I'm the Raiders and Shedeur Sanders is still there, which I'm confident he will be, I actually probably pick him there. I actually think I might. I've been humming and hawing, and I haven't decided on my final rankings yet, but I'm starting to come around on Shedeur over Cam Ward, actually. Again, as long as he doesn't have to play right away. That's the biggest thing. He's accurate, and when his feet are set, he can make really good throws. He can put the ball wherever he needs or wherever he wants. If his feet are set, and he's moving in the pocket like he should be, which is exceptionally rare when you watch his tape. But I think that he could probably do well in that offense. But he's going to have to get comfortable under center, in my opinion. I think whoever plays quarterback in Las Vegas is going to have to be comfortable under center, and turning around and handing the ball off. But we'll see how that works out. So that's something I wanted to show quick. And then another thing that I wanted to show was back to the old spreadsheets. So for me, like, it doesn't make sense. Nothing else makes sense for the Jets besides Kirk Cousins. Nothing else makes sense. Aaron Glenn, watched him play. I have this whole thing written up, 2-2, 70%, 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. They can get the cap space. That's all fine and good. But also Rick Spielman is, I'm not going to say the general manager because he's not, but he's very, 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 very much in the ear. He helped the Jets recruit and sign and hire their general manager. Right. And then he got hired on as the senior assistant of whatever. So if you remember, Rick Spielman was the general manager of the Vikings. He signed who to a big deal? Kirk Cousins, right? Brought him into Minnesota. They had a lot of success there. His contract is pretty easy to get out of after one season. They can free up a ton of cap space with Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard, clear those guys off. Bring in Kirk Cousins on a cheap trade, 6th round, maybe swap a 5th for a 7th. I don't know, something like that. And then draft Jackson Dart. That's another guy that Rick Spielman was gushing over, as long as you're not going to get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. And maybe he would do that anyways. Let's say they're both there when the Jets are on the clock at 7. Rick Spielman might just say, hey, like, let's push it and see where this goes. Worst case scenario, we can get Jackson Dart, late in either the first round if they want to trade back into the end of the first round, or early second round, draft Jackson Dart as the heir apparent. He can sit for a minimum an entire season, if not 2, if not 3, if you really needed to, or if Kirk Cousins was playing that well, because it's technically has 3 years left on his deal, but you can very easily get out of it after 1. So that's the only thing that makes sense to me is Kirk Cousins to the Jets. And then, I don't know, Jackson Dart, but I'm sure they would take Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders over Jackson Dart if they had, the choice. But either way, I don't think any of those quarterbacks are playing if they get drafted to the Jets. That's kind of my thoughts. That's what I wanted to dig into a little bit. We'll get into it more a little later on another stream. We'll dig into it more because that's definitely something that I want to finish off my rankings and then show my spreadsheets again, right? But let's dig into some chat here. Verse was a great pick, unreal pick, right? And then his teammate, God, his name is escaping me. His teammate, big D lineman, same draft, unreal picks, right? They had a fantastic draft. So if they can do that, they've had a bunch of good drafts, actually, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So if they can do that again, they need some help on the offensive line, maybe. The left tackle is a big need. But either way, yeah, he was a fantastic pick. I'll take the swing at Cam Ward. Free agents, probably not, but would trade for Stafford. I think he's a top competitor with a couple of years left, for sure. But again, Stafford's not going anywhere. He's not. He is not going anywhere. And I highly doubt any of these teams are willing to tell him what they would pay. Like, again, they're not going to set the price for the Rams. Like, there's no way. Again, situation, amount of years left. I agree he's got a couple years left, and I'm sure that's what teams are talking about. I'm very sure they'd be willing to have that conversation of, oh, do you have 2 years left, 3 years left? How do we want to structure a deal? Blah, 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 have all that. But there's almost, in my head, there's no way they're giving him a number. Just doesn't make sense for him. They know he's going to take it back to the Rams. Like, for a fact, he's going to take it right back to the Rams and say, this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm hearing. And then we'll see from there. And then again, for Kroenke just to get out his ballpoint pen and sign a check for however much money it needs to clear the cap space. Yeah, I just do not think that Stafford's going anywhere. And I would take a swing at Cam Ward too. I would actually probably rather take a swing at Shedeur. It's close, but so pick your poison there. I don't really care which quarterback you throw in there. But I will always be saying they are not ready to start year one. They are not ready to start year one. If you think Caleb Williams got his ass kicked last year, you wait till one of these two trot out. Both of these guys, Cam Ward and Shedeur, you wait till they trot out there and see what happens to them. So, yeah, the Raiders would absolutely be a place for Sanders. Dion coming to coach a few years later. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's not crazy. We know that Tom Brady and Shedeur have a really good relationship, and obviously Tom Brady is going to be highly invested in this decision, and he's going to have a voice in this decision for sure. I think 6 overall is a little bit rich, personally. Absolutely, I personally wouldn't do that, but I get it. And if he's the face of the franchise, and it gives your team some buzz, which they absolutely need. They need some feel good, right? So I could definitely see them, throwing their concerns aside and drafting him and then probably starting him right away. But I mean, I don't think that would be very wise or a very good decision in any way. Maybe they bring in some sort of veteran, Jacoby Brissett, Jameis Winston, and then have him start for the first 4 weeks or something like that, and we'll see where it lands. But Candyman's confident Vegas gets Sanders. I think that's his landing spot. I've been saying that as well for the whole off season so far, that's most likely his landing spot. Again, the Tom Brady relationship is obviously a big part of that. So I think that's probably where he lands as well, as long as they just don't ask him to do too much, because he probably will start right away if that's where he goes. And then we'll see. They would really have to do some other things to help him out. Especially in the offensive line, and more just play calling wise. Just get the ball out of his hands. Like, I would be setting records for getting the ball out of my quarterback's hands if I were coaching Shedeur Sanders. So he cannot be in the pocket, because he does not have a feel for where it even is. Like, that's my opinion. When I watch tape on Shedeur, it seems like he doesn't even know where the pocket is, and he has no idea to step up. Like, he's always walking. It's like, I don't know if you guys play a lot of Madden, but personally, when I play Madden, I have a tendency to just pull my quarterback backwards, and then to the side, right? Back to the side. That's what it looks like to me, is like, feel the pocket, step up in the pocket, help your blockers out. Yes, the offensive line in Colorado was bad, but the majority of those sacks were his own fault, in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. But those are just some thoughts that I was having today. But let's jump into a draft and a big board. Let's have some fun drafting. I still will not. Oh, we filled. So if you're in here, sweet. If you didn't, my apologies. Maybe I'll get some plus EV for myself. Doobie Miles. That's a funny name. Don't really recognize anyone, so that's all right. We escaped the fellas. I won't be getting crushed. Won't be losing, just giving away EV on stream. But yeah, those are some thoughts I had today. The Stafford stuff is just getting humorous to me, if I'm being honest. It's just like, yeah, there's no chance that any general manager is going to negotiate the Rams contract for them. There's just no way, man. There's no way that you can convince me that anyone is giving him a number. So yeah, you can drum up some interest, see what the cost might be in a trade. But there's the most important thing for Matthew Stafford right now is how much he's getting paid. And it's fair. He deserves a raise. Absolutely. And they need to give him a raise. How much? I don't know. They'll settle on a number, but no other team is going to set that number for them. So we'll see where it lands, how it works out. Yeah. There's my thoughts of the day here. But Jahmyr Gibbs goes first overall. That's interesting. For the rest of the week, off tomorrow, I'm going to go hit the golf simulator. Get some swings in, get some cuts in, prepare for the spring. And then Wednesday, I will definitely do a stream on Wednesday. And I haven't decided. Maybe in the chat, let me know what you'd rather see. Either my spreadsheets with my rankings, pre-combine rankings, or exposure. Do we want to go over my exposures, or do we want to see the spreadsheets with the rookie rankings? Putt Daddy, you got to be a golfer. Hey, what are you handicapping in golf? I'm about like a 12.87, something like that. On one cap, I have 12.5, and on one, I'm like 13.3. They calculate different rounds played, right? So average it out, call it just under 13. I was hoping to get it to single digits last year, but I didn't get to play enough and didn't play well enough. So that's how she goes sometimes. Let's bring in Puka, considering I just went, off ad nauseum about him still being a Ram. So let's go Puka. Yeah, about 12 and a half, roughly. Still hoping to get to single digits, but those last few strokes, when you get to, where I'm at right now, really hard to pull off the cap, So yeah, it was easy to go from like 20 to 15 and, then 15 to 12 where I'm at now was harder, but still like, more in line with, how I actually shoot. And then now it's really hard to pull strokes off, if I'm being honest. But yeah, we'll see how this year goes. Hopefully I can peel off a few strokes. If I can get to 10.9, then I'd be all right with that. But I'd really like to get to single digits. Where are we going? HN, get some value there. I think that just makes the most sense. Let's bring in Devon HN. I'm going to do a quick refresh so I can get proper data showing. There we go. Yeah, that's what I'm handicapping. What are you at, Putt Daddy? What's Chris, Fantasy Football Garage, what are you at handicap wise? Golf's a hard game. It is a very, very difficult game, but it's super addicting and super fun and awesome. I love it personally. Brock Bowers, Derrick Henry. I think you can accomplish that anytime you want. So I'm not sure I would go that route. if I'm bringing up Derrick Henry like that, I'm not opposed to it, but then I would bring up someone at this end of the draft, like, I don't know, Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, AJ Brown. No, maybe AJ Brown, I suppose. Terry McLaurin, something like that, just to get a little more unique if you're going to do something like that. That's kind of my thoughts there, but yeah. What else we got? Nico Monroe. That's got to be pretty unique. That's nice. Spider. Nico Monroe. That's got to be. That's nice. I am jealous of that. That would be a fun start. On the shelf at the moment till the back gets fixed. We're around 10 at last count. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. If you can be, what's the stat again? It's like 2% of golfers are under 15 or something like that. Like it's golf's hard, man. Plus there's all the sandbaggers out there. They're like, oh yeah, I'm an 8 handicap. I'm 7. I'm a single digit handicap. And then you play with them and there's like 15-foot gimmies and shit. Not literally, but like 6-foot gimmies and stuff. And it's like, what are you doing, man? I'm gonna need to see that. Or like taking mullies like it's going out of style. Yeah, those are the fun guys to play with. But yeah, either way. DJ Moore gets brought up. Okay. Probably looking at Rome Odunze, I would imagine, or trying to get Rome Odunze at 48. Where is he? Yeah, at 48. That's the only kind of way that really, unless you're really high on DJ Moore. For some reason, DJ Moore seems to be rising up, and I'm not really sure why he would rise. I'm okay with where he's at, but why is he need to be rising up the board? That's something I'm a little confused about. Unless, in this case, if you're trying to set up a Rome Odunze double stack, because that's actually difficult to get. So I don't hate that ideology there. Marvin Harrison, Chase Brown. I don't love the value here. And I don't think I'm going to do that, actually. I just can't do it. I just can't do it there with Chase Brown. I have clicked his name if he falls. But let's bring in Marvin Harrison here. I just can't get there at that price. If he's there for me at 40, yeah, I'll click it for sure. But I can't get on board with that Chase Brown price, that Chase Brown ADP. So I'll take him if he falls. Yeah, 29.5. That's my average. How? Jeez, interesting. Has he fallen? Maybe he's fallen. I don't know. I'm not paying attention enough to his ADP because I still think it's high if he is falling. James Cook has been really concerning me, but I probably will click his name, I guess, here. If I have to. If not, pretty much anybody's on the board. All right, let's take James Cook. I'm only at 4%. It's falling value. I haven't taken him with any of my anyone on my team yet. So let's do that. Wants extension, more playing time. Like, to the playing time. The extension might have to wait a year. And you're not getting 15, 16 million or whatever it is. So we'll have to see on that. Then Lamar. So definitely buying into the Baltimore stack, which is fine. That's totally fine. It's just, I guess that makes sense if that's the way you want to go about it. Okay. Neighbors, London, McBride, Daniels. I like that start for Doobie Miles. I like this CD Lamb and AJ Brown. We'll see if he brings it in. Hurts here. Nope. Where is the? I guess someone down this end of the draft could go with the Hurts Devontae Smith stack. We'll see if that happens. I'm probably going to try to make a conscious effort to not take just super common starts. Not that that's easy to even do, but yeah, I guess if ever there's falling value in the first 4 rounds, I'm going to scoop it up. So just like I did with James Cook there and Devon Achane, right? Technically, I guess all of these guys, where's Harrison's ADP? So Harrison, I took at ADP, but everyone else is behind ADP, which is nice. Yeah, that's something I'm trying to really focus on right now is just getting unique as best I can. I'm not sure how much like the top, I don't know, 12 rounds shift after the combine. So yeah, we'll see. I don't think they do very much at all. Not drafting the big board, max the little board already, max the war room and bigger board and slows, getting antsy for a new contest to come out. No doubt, man. Like there's going to be something. Probably if I had to guess, it would either be like just after or just before the combine, like literally on Saturday or Friday sort of thing. Combine starts on Thursday, but it's DBs and defensive linemen. So, I mean, that's good, but it's not going to do anything as far as like fantasy drafting and best ball drafting. But Friday, who's Friday? Ugh, I can't remember. But Saturday is a big day. Tight ends are on Friday. Tight ends and I can't remember. Linebackers? Or is it tight ends and DBs and then defensive line linebackers? Anyways, tight ends are the only skill position on before Saturday, and then Saturday's QBs, running backs, wide receivers, right? So Saturday's the big day. So I could see them launching something either, like I said, Friday or early Saturday, something like that. I think there'll be another either smaller max entry, like a 4 max, 5 max, or a like $3 type of little board 2 sort of thing, and just kind of capitalize on the buzz sort of thing. That's what I could definitely see happening, but who knows? We will see. They do want to fill the big board, obviously, which I don't think will be an issue regardless, but that's definitely not necessarily a concern, but they definitely want to make sure that they can get it filled without question, without a concern. So let's go George Kittle. Get a little falling value. Oops. Yeah, he's not paired up with anybody yet, so I don't mind that. And then it opens some doors stack wise for later in the draft. So yeah, I was getting at the week. So yeah, Wednesday. Yeah, fired in the chat. I didn't get any comments. Fired in the chat what you want to see, either the spreadsheets or the exposure on Wednesday. Thursday, I'm going on the Best Ball Barbecue with Tyler, PPR Tyler, who's either just finished up. I know he's doing another draft, so he's probably still rolling and wrapping up shortly here. So I'll be on that on Thursday. We'll see what happens Friday, and then the weekend there might be something coming down the line on the weekend as well. But I will we'll circle back on that. 64. Wow. Is this somewhere I take my first Pickens share and just close my eyes and take George Pickens? I really would rather not. But let's give it a whirl. There's really no one else here that I really feel like I need. And if I'm ever going to take George Pickens, it's when I'm getting some value. So let's do that. The Steelers are really the most interesting spot for quarterback. I don't I don't think that they would want Russell Wilson back specifically, and I don't think Justin Fields would want to go back to the Steelers. So, where does that leave them? Obviously, Matt Stafford has been the conversation, but again, like they're not setting the price. You really think Matt Stafford wants to move his entire family across the country from LA to Pittsburgh, especially with his wife who runs, that pretty successful podcast? Like, regardless what you think about his wife, that's not what we're talking about here. And the stuff that she said about him and their relationship, but that's not what we're talking about. Do you really think that they're going to move across the country to Pittsburgh? I'll believe it when I see it. So, yeah, we'll see how that works out. But where does that leave the Steelers, quarterback wise? I don't know. I really don't know. That's the biggest kind of conundrum that we have right now, in my opinion, is who is going to be playing quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. Honestly, I really have no clue. I feel like the only thing that might shake out is Justin Fields might not have too much of a choice. That's the only thing that I keep going back to for him and for them. And that's kind of where it ends up landing. But I don't think that that's their long-term solution. That's another reason why I don't think Justin Fields is going to want to stay there, because they're not going to give him a long-term deal, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. That the Steelers are really the most interesting one out there. This is an interesting start. We've got double Bengals maybe with T. Higgins. Let's talk about T. Higgins. Let's give me 2 seconds to look at this team, and let's talk about this T. Higgins situation after these 2 picks. That's another thing we've talked about a lot, but there's obviously a little more nuance to it now with the tag. So we'll get into that. But goes with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, sure, that's fine. Brings in Joe Burrow, I get it. Then takes Patrick Mahomes. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all, really, right at kind of ADP. And then brings in Isaiah Pacheco at pick 74, which you guys know me. I've been the Isaiah Pacheco Huckleberry all draft season so far. I'll take him if he falls to pick 105, 12, 20, right? I'll take Isaiah Pacheco. You couldn't catch me dead picking Isaiah Pacheco at pick 74. So I probably have more exposure to Isaiah Pacheco than anybody you've ever seen right now. I think I'm at like 40% in the big board, but my average draft position is 9 picks past his ADP right now. So my average draft position is basically right at 100, I think. Let's make these picks. Then we'll check that. Then we'll talk about T. Higgins. What do we want to do here? Debo. Yeah. That's pretty limp noodle to me right now. Tony Pollard, I suppose, could be on the table. Nice. He takes Debo. Then I'm definitely going to bring in Ricky Pearsall here. That's what's going to happen there. Ricky Pearsall with Kittle. The 2 quarterbacks here really scares me. Where is the Ayuk drafter? Right there. Interesting. He's definitely going Chicago to San Fran. So I have to take Purdy if I want him right here. Definitely pulling him up, but I think I'm going to have to do that. So that's something everybody should be doing when you're building out stacks like this. If it was just Ayuk or just Jennings, then I could try to push Purdy. But without me having a quarterback and no other real viable stacks, in my opinion, I don't really want to go Kyler or, any Pittsburgh or whatever. I'm going to have to bring up Brock Purdy here and take him with Kittle and Pearsall. So now this guy's definitely going, Caleb, but he's going to be pretty annoyed with me for taking Brock Purdy where I did. But obviously it makes sense. I had to do it. So Pacheco, 99.9. Yeah, pick 100. He's 91 ADP. I'm 9 picks past ADP is my average on 36% and 25 overall, right? 36% in the big board, 25% overall. So obviously I got the majority of my shares in the big board, and pick 100 is my average draft position for Isaiah Pacheco. So yeah, I'll take him there. I'll take him there. But let's talk about T. Higgins. So with this whole T. Higgins situation, there's a couple of things that no one's really talking about. So they can only tag him twice, right? They've tagged him already last year, or did they? Did they actually work out a deal? But they tagged him, then worked out a deal, I think. So they're not going to tag him again, is what I'm getting at after this year, right? They're not going to tag him again. He knows that. They know that. Everybody knows that. And this guy got scooped on Caleb too. That sucks. That sucks for the first overall pick guy. They're not tagging him again. The tag that he could play under, if it happens, is 26.12 or something like that. 26 point something million this year for 1 year deal, right? That puts him as like the 7th or 8th currently, like the 7th or 8th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. So if you're T. Higgins, and I would argue that this is borderline already happened with T. Higgins. If you look at how he plays and doesn't play, if they tag him, notice how I don't think they've actually extended the tag to T. Higgins yet. As far as I know, they've only talked about it. It's only been said, it's on the table, it's this, it's that. They haven't actually extended the tag to T. Higgins yet. Why? What happens if T. Higgins shows up the next day and signs it? Then all of that money is guaranteed. 26 point whatever million dollars is guaranteed in T. Higgins' pocket, regardless of if he plays a game or not. So he could go out there and say, just do basically exactly what he did this year, just enough. Like, do you really want a player like that playing on your team right now that's playing for money, that's playing a little bit selfish? Like, he's not going to risk anything. If he has any sort of like, oh, my hammy, oh, yeah, my quad, oh, this, that, it might have tweaked something, blah, 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 and he's not playing, right? What are you going to be getting out of him? He's got that money guaranteed, and he's looking for next year for a long-term deal and a big money deal. Big money, long-term deal, right? So that's not getting talked about a lot at all, actually, that he could just run into the building, sign that franchise tag, and then who knows what happens from there. So obviously they're using it as leverage to potentially get a deal done. Do they want to pay him what other people are going to pay him? I have no idea. Does he even want to talk to them? Right? That's the other thing too. He could run in, sign the tag, right? And then say, I'm not talking to you guys at all. No, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. You can't tag me. I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm not playing for you guys next year. I'll take my money. I'll do enough to, he's not going to tell them that he's going to just do enough, but in his head, I'll do enough to earn my big contract. And then it's deuces. I'm out of here. So it's a lot of nuance with this whole situation, actually. There's a lot to it. It's not just, oh, they tagged him. He's going to be franchise tagged. They signed him to the tag, and that's that, and he's going to play. It's not really how it works. There's a lot more to this. So we'll see. It's an interesting situation that obviously I'm very interested in what happens with T. Higgins. Let's bring in Let's bring in Tyler Warren. Then I can probably be done at tight end. Maybe. We'll see. A little bit of value there. 0% on Rashid Shaheed, 0% on Darnell Mooney. Probably stay that way. Maybe not Mooney, but I'm not picking Shaheed this year. Not in the big board anyways, for sure. We'll see what happens in the summer. I'm not saying Rashid Shaheed's the worst football player ever, or he's a terrible pick. I'm just not picking him in the big board. I might in the summer. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he's still on the Saints. Unfortunately for the Steelers, what maybe might make sense is like Derek Carr or Derek Carr to the Titans, something like that. I still think Derek Carr is getting traded. That's my opinion of that situation. I think he gets traded to someone. Aaron Rodgers probably does make like that. That makes the most sense for the Steelers, actually. And that's another rumor, obviously. But that probably makes the most sense realistically with how close they think they are. And for this team and anyone that's drafting George Pickens, you got to feel pretty good about that if Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That's an interesting situation with Pittsburgh. All right, what are we doing here? Trey Harris is a good pick. Might have gone down that road, but I think I'm gonna just try to bump up my Cam Scatabo just a little bit. I'm only at 2% in the big board, and I want that to be about maybe up to 6 by the combine. I'm really interested in how he tests at the combine. I think everyone should be. Cam Scatabo should probably be the number one, concern at the combine with how he's going to test. What is he going to run? I think that he's going to run slower than people want. Not that that's a bad thing or it's going to be an actual negative to his football career, but what happens to his ADP if he goes out there and runs? There's 2 scenarios here. What happens to Cam Scatabo's ADP if he goes out there and runs a 4.66? What happens to his ADP if he goes out there and runs a 4.55? I think nothing happens to his ADP if he runs a 4.55. Maybe it goes up a little bit, even a little bit, nothing major, but what happens to his ADP? But what happens to his ADP if he goes out there and runs a 4.66 and a 4.68, something like that? I think it's probably going to fall a little bit, most likely. So that's kind of my thoughts on Scatabo. God forbid he should run a 4.7 and get the old Audric estimate treatment, which I don't think is off the table. He is a very, very large dude, Cam Scatabo. He's a big, big boy. So we'll see. I'm sure he's done nothing since the end of the college football playoffs because he didn't go to the Senior Bowl. Arizona State went too far in the college football playoffs, so he didn't end up going to the Senior Bowl, playing the Senior Bowl, practicing. None of that, obviously. I'm almost positive all he's been doing since the end of the college football playoffs is track training. Running track, testing on tracks, just working on his explosion, trying to get out of the box as quick as he can. That's it. That's all I would be doing if I were him. The weight's fine. Be in the gym, get in good shape. Maybe try to, slim out a little bit. Like shed some of the extra bills. And then just be working on my track time. That's it. That's all I would be doing if I were Cam Scatabo. But we'll see. Who knows what he's doing? That's what I would be doing. Where are we at here? I don't know what I'm doing at quarterback. I might have to go with a little kind of backdoor situation with the Jags. That could be on the table. Tua could be on the table with HN. I could still go down that road and bring in like Malik Washington. Could do the Bryce Young backstack thing. I probably should have drafted Pittman, and then I could have brought in Richardson. Not that that takes Richardson off my board, because him naked is completely fine. But if I went Pittman over Scatabo, but then I'd be, thinner at running back. So I could bring in, I was looking at Tank Bigsby maybe. Let's do that. Let's see if that works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. So let's go Xavier Leggett. Yeah. Ben Haskell, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming in. We're talking mostly quarterback stuff tonight. The quarterback situations that are kicking around out there right now. All the conversations. Bit of a different build. But yeah, I'm excited for the combine. I'm absolutely stoked for the combine. Hames comes in. Tyler must have just wrapped up the stream, eh? A couple guys sneaking in after the barbecue's done. There goes Bryce Young, so that's annoying. I would have went Leggett there with Bryce Young, but let's just go with the backup plan. Actually, let's bring in Tua. Let's do that. Yeah, I just feel more comfortable with Tua. And I'm fine with the running back in this situation, obviously. So let's do that. I'm more comfortable with Tua. QB situations are a 2-pack of asses here. Yeah, that's basically what I was getting into, early in the stream, was if you're one of these franchises that are on the, on the hot seat, especially the Giants, but if you're even the Titans or the Browns, what rookie quarterback or free agent quarterback are you willing to risk your job on? Which one? For me, it's none of them, but they're going to have to figure something out. So that's the interesting thing. That'll be the most interesting thing that doesn't get talked about enough is who are these guys willing to risk their careers on? Jameis. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Like Jameis with a rookie. Jacoby Brissett with a rookie. Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. I don't know. I don't know who that. Honestly, I don't know who that is. And I still think if I'm the Browns, I think Mac Jones makes the most sense. The Jets, I'm just sold on, as we talked about earlier in the stream. The Jets, I'm sold of what they do. Fully on board with that. If I'm the Titans, I think it's going to end up being like, if I'm the Titans, it's probably Sam Darnold for me. Or maybe I guess maybe a Derek Carr, but I'd rather Sam Darnold personally. Yeah, we'll see. It's an interesting one. There's a bunch of hot garbage out there. And who wants to roast marshmallows on hot garbage? No one is the answer to that. Let's see how this guy's landing this plane. The pick 74, Isaiah Pacheco. Zach Charbonnet, J.K. Dobbins, Quentin Johnston brings in a third quarterback, which is not at all advisable. Can't particularly get on board with this. I like Charbonnet, don't get me wrong. Don't like J.K. Dobbins. Don't like the Penix pick here. Alec Pierce, I think that's early, I believe. Way early. Interesting. Okay. Matthew Strauss Jr. What's up, man? I think this is the first time I've seen you in here. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. What am I going to do here? Don't want to go tight end. Quarterback is on the table. The 12 holes only got Justin Herbert, so I might have to just pull the trigger here to fill up my quarterback room. Should be done at tight end. Maybe for some reason, if something odd happens, I could bring in a third, but not likely with Kittle and Warren. Running backs on the table. Wide receivers on the table. But I don't think I like anyone enough. This guy should be done at quarterback. So let's bring in, pulls up Dowdle. Interesting. Hig or Diggs. Let's finish it up with Justin Fields here. I think that makes the most sense. He's kind of the last click for me. I guess you could say Darnold I would go with, but when it's a blind landing spot, give me the rushing upside. So definitely done at quarterback. Purdy, Tua, Justin Fields, that'll play. Probably done at tight end, but we'll leave it open. Wide receivers, this is just an absolute horrible range for me for wide receivers. Coker, yeah, but I already have Liggett, so I will not take two Carolina pass catchers. My plan was to take Coker, Liggett, and Bryce Young, but he got sniped on me, which is fine. Definitely recovered, not the end of the world. And then, the pick and stack with Justin Fields is already kind of built in as well. So probably going to have to be a running back situation. Ollie Gordon would have been the click. Unless I want to bring somebody up, which I really don't think that makes much sense. Bryce Young drafter. I guess it's just Jerome Ford then. Yeah. Round of value. I guess let's take Jerome Ford. That makes the most sense. That's the only real click that makes sense there. You could have said Algier, but I'd rather Jerome Ford as far as playing time potential. There's still a lot more potential for Ford to be the running back one, and I wouldn't call him a bell cow regardless, but to be the RB 1A, 1B sort of situation is more on the table for Ford than it is for Algier. So in this instance, it makes way more sense to take Jerome Ford. Yeah, but I cannot get on board with pulling up Alec Pierce like that, pulling up Pacheco like that, dual quarterback early, and then bringing in a third, makes no sense. Unstacked. Yeah, I can't get on board with that personally. Emo Cowboy in the house. Good stream earlier today. Talking about roosters and whatnot. At the combine. Roosters falling out at the combine. That was a good chat, I thought, but yeah, it's not a fantasy sanctuary stream if Tyler's not getting a bonk. That's for sure. So What else do we got going on? Anything getting out of line here? This guy's not making much sense. Where did this guy land? Debo, falling Debo, sure. Baker with Chris Godwin. I'm way more on board that Chris Godwin comes back. I kind of thought, I kind of thought that they would extend that the deadline for his guaranteed money. I thought that they would extend it further than, I think that's the first day of the new league year, March 12th. I thought they would push it further, but obviously Chris Godwin doesn't want to do that. So either way, that tells me that they're definitely working on a contract. I don't think Chris Godwin would want to go anywhere at this stage of his career. I really don't. And I think that they would want him back. I think that makes the most sense. If he doesn't come back, then they're going to need to add to that wide receiver room. So, and I don't think he can command like in incredible money. It's not like he can say 30 million a year, right? So what does it cost you to re-sign Chris Godwin a season? I mean, right around 20, I would think. Right around there, maybe a little less. 2-3 year deal, probably a 3-year deal that you can get out of. Makes the most sense to me. I think they should be able to get it done cap-wise. Yeah, everybody's getting a bump. Everybody's getting a bump at the cap. What is it, like 25 mil or something like that going up? So everybody's getting some freedom there. I just think I agree. I think it makes the most sense. And we were talking about Matt Stafford earlier, that he's just not going anywhere. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for him to go anywhere. Jalen Royals makes a lot of sense here. Let's do that. Let's bring him in. Yeah, 3 years, third being an option. Yeah, this is what I see. You could void it if you want. Yeah, but 3-year deal. Really like a 1.5 year. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. 1.5 year, you can get out of it maybe post June 1 or something like that. But definitely like kind of a 2-year deal on paper. So we'll see. It doesn't make any sense. Like a lot of the fodder right now, a lot of the a lot of the rumors are exactly that. The Matt Stafford stuff, the Godwin, I think makes most sense to come back. Yeah. Again, like the Steelers is the situation that's really, really difficult to project and figure out who's going to be the quarterback there. That's the one that is the most, I don't want to say frustrating, but the most just confusing, I guess is the word. I have no idea who will be playing quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is really, really difficult for me to project that. Let's go Braylon Allen, or do I want to just bring in rookies? I kind of just want to bring in rookies. So let's go with Jack Bash. Bottom line is he's my wide receiver 3 as it sits right now. Bottom line. Pittsburgh has no idea what they want to do either. Yeah, he ain't helping. It's a weird, like, I really can't figure it out. Like I said before, I don't think they want Russell Wilson back. They know what he is. They know what he can do, and they don't really particularly want that again. And I don't think Justin Fields would want to go back to Pittsburgh. So, but where else is Justin Fields going to go? Like maybe New Orleans, if they can get some cap cleared up, which they can do if they do a few things, they can make some space, and he's not going to cost that crazy amount of money. Especially you can sell it like, hey, come be our starter. Or maybe the Raiders, but I think Shedeur Sanders is on the table there. It's not the Titans. I guess maybe the Jets, but I would be pretty surprised about that one. I know that's another rumor that he's linked to the Jets. I really don't see that. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation. It's a weird situation in the quarterback world that we're talking about here. But yeah, Jack Bech, at bottom line right now, he's my wide receiver 3 as it sits right now. And that's not changing until the combine is over. Like if he goes out and he runs like a 4.6, yeah, I'm gonna have to pull him back. If he goes out there and runs a 4.5, I think he's gonna run high 4.4s, is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping, considering my exposure. I do think it'll probably be the 4.52s, you know, somewhere around there, 4.54, whatever, something like that, which is fine. I would like it to be if he were a little bit faster, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see where that lands. And then Jalen Royals is an interesting one. You know, right there with Trey Harris as far as how massive their seasons could have been without injury. But I'm interested to see what he runs. Big body kid, you know, I guess like he's Matthew Golden, but in my opinion, potentially more talented than Matthew Golden, but similar size, you know, 6 foot 205, something like that. And then if he runs in the 4.4s, that's going to be a nice day for him. Probably done at tight end. I think that's just fine. And then it's probably Savion Williams. Again, another guy that I want to get kind of as much exposure to as I can before he goes out and just destroys the combine. Behind my average ADP, 196 for Savion, which doesn't really mean much, but let's bring him in. I've been saying time and time again, this dude's going to run a 4.3. Yeah. Yeah. Huhames, are you out on Burden or Ibuka? No, I'm super high on Emeka Ibuka. Emeka Ibuka is my wide receiver 1. I am pretty low on Burden. I think I have him as my 6 or something like that. So that's what I'll do on Wednesday. So if you're just joining the chat, we're obviously streaming tonight. Wednesday, I will do a stream again, and then I'm going to do my spreadsheets. I'll show my spreadsheets. I'll show my rankings, and I'll show you where I have Ibuka, Burden, all my guys, including, you know, wide receiver 3, which is Besh. Yeah, and over Burden. Yep. I'll show my my updated pre-combine rankings on Wednesday. Thursday, I'm on the Best Ball Barbecue with Tyler. That'll be a fun one. So check that out Thursday night. That'll be a good time. And then yeah, the combine over the weekend. Probably do a stream on Sunday again. Little Sunday stream. Cam Scatabo. LeQuint Allen goes. I've been bumping up my shares though, so that's all good. Do I want to just bring in Tez here? 3 more picks. Let's bring in Damian Martinez here. I think that does make the most sense for sure. Let's bring in Damian Martinez. How do you sit in your computer chair with those massive cojones? Because I've been here's a big thing about me. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to watching my channel, new to talking about me, I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. I really don't. I will not bend to the groupthink. I will not. I was lower on a guy like Marvin Harrison last year when he was a first round pick. I had 0%. The year before that, Rico Dowdle, first round pick, I had 0%. I will take big swings. Travis Etienne last year, 0%. I had Kenneth Walker over Breece Hall as my number 1. I had Trask. What's his first name? He's neither of them ended up being very good, but Kyle Trask for the he's a free agent now, but I had him over Zach Wilson in my rankings. That actually worked out because Zach Wilson is hot garbage, which I was pretty firm on. I actually had Rome Odunze over Malik Neighbors last year. That necessarily didn't really work out for me, but I still think Rome Odunze is an absolute dog. Bit of a landing spot sort of thing, but I don't give a fuck if people disagree what I have to say. I really don't, and it's worked out relatively well for me. And if I'm being honest, like my takes have done pretty well in my opinion. There's obviously some swings and misses, but last year Jonathan Brooks, 0% Jonathan Brooks, right? Like if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up to me. I don't care what the groupthink is saying. I don't care what Twitter's saying. I really don't. So if you want some different takes and you want someone to take a stand, here I am. Like, I just don't care what everyone else thinks. I watch the tape too. I put the work in. That's the other thing. I can do it because I put the work in. I put my own time in. I watch the tape. I do the research. So if I'm going to do all that and not stick to my takes, then what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing wasting my time doing all that if I'm just going to have my rankings say the same thing as anyone else? The other thing is I get started on this stuff and I do my rankings before anyone else comes out. So Bayshal Tootin shooting up the board. I've been talking about Bayshal Tootin for months, literally. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, I'm a bit of a, you sent me on, you propped up the soapbox for me, Ben. I stepped up and here we are. Definitely bringing in Malik for, with my, Tua and Achan. Let's get that going. Another veteran. Yeah, I don't care what the group is saying. I don't care what groupthink is saying. And I think everyone should do that. Like, make your own takes, do your own thing, develop your own opinion, and use other people like to support your priors, right? Tyler, you had a bit of an, interaction on Twitter there where you guys were at each other's throats about something, right? But why would anyone tune into people and just say, oh yeah, and I've heard people say that, oh, this guy said this, oh, but this guy said that. I don't give a shit. Like, unless it's someone that I actually like, a Matt Miller or something like that, like someone that legitimately, even like maybe Trevor Sikkema, like guys like that literally make a living off of this. And, they've been doing it for years and they have a track record. Maybe I'll take what they have to say into consideration. But if it's just some other Joe Schmo like me, same as me, I'm not saying I'm above them. I'm the exact same. I'm just saying if it's some other guy on Twitter that's exactly like me, then I'm going to stick to my ideology, my thought process. Let's bring in Estime. Let's just do that. Then I'm going to go with my own takes. Yeah. I still think Trask could work out. He barely lost out to Baker, and Baker has been balling. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say if he barely lost out or not. Like, obviously they were competing, but I honestly, I think it was from day one, Baker was the guy. I really do, especially with the offensive coordinator that was there. Canales at the time. Like, I think it was Baker for sure. He's just, he's got that photographic memory going on. And like, obviously he is the guy, right? We're seeing it now with like three friggin' offensive coordinators later. But I do like Kyle Trask a fair amount. I really would like for him to get a shot to, like, even just like if he gets into a game due to an injury or something like that, and then we see what he can do. He's really hasn't gotten any sort of an opportunity. So we'll see. I have my own ideas and ranks too, of course, but I do tend to hedge with some consensus. Like, I have Fanahan ahead of Loveland, but I don't want 0% Loveland. Yeah, that's fine. That's lower consequences, right? Like, I just like Tet McMillan, right? I like Tet McMillan. I do, but I'm not taking him where he's at. Like 3%, 2%, right? Genty. There you go. You think I'll fall in line? No, I won't. I haven't ranked 21. I'll take him at 20. I will take him at pick 20 for sure. maybe even 19. We'll see. I don't necessarily want 0%. I just don't think that he automatically deserves to be a first round pick without knowing landing spot. That's for sure. So the only thing I'll look at, if it makes sense, is data. If there's some data, and yeah, the data backs up Genty, don't get me wrong. But some of the data that maybe changed my opinion on Jaden Higgins. I wasn't too big on Jaden Higgins film wise, but I saw some data that made me kind of switch. Like, if the data is right, then I have to at least be willing to admit that I'm wrong, which I always am. I could be completely wrong. Of course I could be completely wrong, right? So if something comes out that makes me change my prior and say, man, that data says he should be a good player, I'm not going to take 0% of him. I didn't hate him on tape. I didn't love him either, right? But the data says he should be a good player. So I'm going to go ahead and draft him. I don't necessarily think Colston Loveland should be going where he's going ADP wise, but the right landing spot. And I did really like his tape. It's just a matter of can he have success as a rookie tight end in the NFL? Like, Harold Fanning doesn't get enough credit for being the blocker that he is. Again, people might not be watching tape because he comes in at 6'3", 238, that sort of thing. They're worried about his size. So automatically they say he can't be a good blocker. Did you watch tape? The dude can block, man. He was actually working as a blocking fullback and doing some fullback work at the Senior Bowl. Coaches were probably firing him in there to see what he can do and how he looks and stuff like that. But Harold Fanning can block better than you think, and his PFF number shows it. So, yeah. Anyways, there's another one. Yeah, I'm very strong. I strongly stand by your takes. No one's going to change my mind. That's for damn sure. Again, why do I put in all this work? If it would be a complete waste of time if I put in all this work and do all this work, watch all this tape, do all the research, and then just fall in line, right? I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror if I'm being honest. Yeah, I use other takes to look into mine, see if I was wrong or not. New information can always change a take. 100%. Yeah, you have to be willing to admit you're completely wrong. Change your priors. Landing spot will obviously matter. And yeah, like, keep the receipts, man. If I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know. Last year I was very right. So last year is tough to come at me. I was all in on Chuba. 2 years ago, I was all in on Rachaad White. Probably had the most exposure you've ever seen on Rachaad White 2 years ago when it mattered. Last year, 0%. Right? So I did really well last year, actually, even though I didn't really, win. I didn't win a tournament or anything, but I did the same thing with Higgins. Yeah, we maybe saw the same data that showed up that changed both of our minds, I'd imagine. But let's go over the squad quick, and then we'll get everybody out of here. Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields. This works. A couple pocket passers. Purdy runs more than people give him credit for. So that's not bad. I would rather have not brought him up, but I had to. If you're here for the stream at the time, had to bring him up. So double stacked. It is what it is. Double stacked Tua as well with a late Malik Washington, and then Devon Achane there. Justin Fields, get that rushing upside. I don't mind bringing up a Justin Fields here when he's, in my opinion, kind of the last option. So that'll work. That'll play. Devon Achane, James Cook, Cam Scatabo, Jerome Ford, Damian Martinez, and Audric Estime. If the Broncos bring in like a Najee Harris, Cam Scatabo, Damian Martinez, someone like that along those lines, this team, my exposure is going to get kicked in the nuts for sure. If they bring in like a Jarquez Hunter, Bayshal Tootin, LaQuint Allen, Brashard Smith, then I'm going to be very happy with my Audric Estime exposure. So we'll see where that lands. I'm making a bet that he is there. I'm making a big bet realistically right now that Audric Estime is this year's Kyron Williams from 2 years ago. That's my big bet on Audric Estime. And we'll see what happens as we get a little closer to the end of draft big board season. Maybe I'll pull back on that, but we'll see. I'll probably end up being like 30% Audric Estime. But this makes sense. This works. Couple rookies, some solid vets, some value with HN and Cook, really. Huge value on Ford. Huge value on Estime if you look at it that way. This will work. This will play. I'm okay with that. Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison Jr., George Pickens, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Leggett, Jalen Royals, Jack Besh, Savion Williams, and Malik Washington. Couple rookies at the end, all three that I really like. I would have probably rather gone someone other than Liga, but there's no one else in that range that really you could care about. And obviously I was planning on bringing in Bryce Young, didn't work out. Double stack with Ricky Pearsall. If Fields ends up staying with Pittsburgh, I got him stacked up with Pickens, got a little value, which is pretty much the only time I'm willing to take Pickens is if he really falls. Probably still not the best click there if I'm being honest, but that's all right. It'll still work out, I think. Then George Kittle and Tyler Warren. I like that. That works for 2. Works to stop at 2. Kittle's double stacked. And then Tyler Warren there. Yeah. If you're in the chat and you drafted, let me know and we can go over your squad. I don't think we did, though. Sometimes even when you're right, you're wrong. I had like 35% Chase Brown his rookie year, and he ain't do shit except that one run that moved his price up last year. Yeah, that was another guy I was pretty all in on last year. I had 20 to 30% Chase Brown, as much as I could get really, and like 0% Zach Moss. So that was another one I kind of hit on last year. You like your good old Irish boys? Not really. Actually, I don't really like Notre Dame players pretty much at all. Like they've never had a good quarterback realistically. Their tight ends are pretty hit or miss. Their running backs are hit or miss. They do, some good linemen. That's for damn sure. But yeah, Audric Estime and Kyron Williams, I get if you look at the connection between and how close Audric Estime and Kyron Williams are as far as their like career arc, it's almost like a mirror image. Like they both got hit at the combine due to running slow, right? Kyron ran like a 4.68, something like that. And everyone was just like, oh, he's off my board. He's off my board now. And he didn't have a good rookie year, but neither did Audric Estime. And he ran a 4.72, right? Which is basically the same thing as what Kyron Williams ran, realistically. It's just optics look bad on that. Size-wise, they're quite similar. The Lance Zierlein grade was quite similar. Both struggled in their rookie year. Both kind of power backs. Both were young. Audric Estime is still only 21 years old. He was drafted as a 20-year-old. So like even their and actually Estime tested a lot better than Kyron Williams did, except for the 40, which again is basically a wash. Like 4.68 and 4.72. If you're telling me there's a difference there, there's not. But as far as everything else, the splits, the 10-yard split, I don't think Kyron benched, but that doesn't particularly matter. What was the other one? The shuttle, he was quicker. The 10-yard split, he was quicker. Audric Estime, I'm talking. So, yeah, and he's bunch bigger. So I like Estime. We'll see. I'm not going to live and die by that one, but I think it's worth the risk in the 18th, 19th round. I think it's worth taking a shot or taking some shots for sure. I think you should have at least 10% Audric Estime. I'll be 30 to 40, maybe something like that. But, so yeah, if you're just popping in, hit that like button for me. If you like the content, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I appreciate it. Wednesday night, we'll be back. I'm going to do my spreadsheets. So I'll show all my rankings. I will show my reasoning. I have it all broken down. I'll show you everything that I do. This is everything that I do. I put a lot. My wife will tell you how much work and how much time I put into this. So again, if I'm not going to stick by my rankings and stick by my takes, then what am I doing here? And it's just ridiculous. It's a waste of time. So I have to, I better, and I will. But I'll show that on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, I'm going to join Tyler, PPR Tyler, on the Best Ball Barbecue on his channel. That'll be a fun episode. So join in over there on Thursday. Friday, maybe we'll do something. Saturday's the combine. I won't be streaming on Saturday, probably on Sunday for sure. A little daytime post combine. We'll have a little chat there, see if anything's changed from my rankings, because it may, depending on what happens. We'll see. So stick around. We'll be streaming this week on some other shows, maybe another stream on the weekend on someone else's channel. We'll see. Not saying anything yet, but that'll be a fun one if we put that together for this weekend, probably Saturday evening, something like that. So either way, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and like I always say on Off the Schneid, this I'll say it from the top, from the rooftops on this one. If you're afraid to be wrong, you'll always be right. So stick to your takes, stick to your rankings, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday night. Have yourselves a great night. Peace.